Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I've got a video response of the Young Turks for you, so let's have a listen.
Alright, so TYT will be at Politicon this year. The dates are July 29th and the 30th.
Thank God, what would we do without the Young Turks at Politicon? It's at the end of July, so that's pretty interesting that it's coming up soon.
And I'm actually extremely excited. In the past, when I've done Politicon events, it's always been panels. Last year I did that panel with a number of anti-Bernie Sanders people, and of course it was a lot of fun because I was the only one on there that supported.
Yeah, that's your example of, you know, venturing out and having discussion with other people with different ideas, is going on a panel with a bunch of Hillary Clinton supporters. They're on the fucking left. You don't even, how do you even know what the right's saying? You don't, you live in your little echo chamber, Anna. So, now she's about to give the biggest news I think I've ever heard the Young Turks report on.
Supported Bernie, but this year we're going to be debating people. Debates are going to happen.
What? The Young Turks doesn't debate people. Okay, let's see this. We saw what happened with Alex Jones when you guys had that confrontation. It doesn't go well for you guys. All you do is resort to name calling.
Can I just say, if you missed Politicon last year, that was a mistake, because Anna's panel alone was worth the price of admission, because they love balance. They love talking to the press about balance, right?
Right.
But all of a sudden, there was only one Bernie Sanders supporter and wall-to-wall Hillary Clinton supporters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Including a lot of the people you see on TV, and she mauled.
And you know what's funny? Anna was there to be the, you know, idiot Bernie Sanders supporter. Like, they didn't want a knowledgeable Bernie Sanders supporter. That's why they loaded it up with Hillary Clinton supporters. So you put an idiot Bernie Sanders supporter and then a bunch of Clinton supporters, and it makes Clinton look good. Well, or it's supposed to. But it didn't really go the way they wanted.
The entire crowd was on your side. But look, it's not just that you kicked ass. It's not that just the crowd was on your side. It's that if the crowd, even if like it's unfair because the crowd is all Bernie Sanders, then maybe you should have a couple of Bernie Sanders panelists. Right. But they didn't need it.
In fairness, it's a lot easier to defend Bernie Sanders than it is to defend Hillary Clinton. So
they had Anna.
Well, it was a fun discussion, and I really enjoyed it. But this year is also going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get involved in a number of debates. Cenk, who are you debating?
Oh boy, here we go. Buckle up, everybody. You asked for it, you're going to get it. Ben Shapiro.
What? This is the end of the Young Turks as we know it. They're never going to be seen the same. Cenk Uygur versus Ben Shapiro? Are you fucking kidding me? You have no chance. None. Like, wait, so for, you mean this Ben Shapiro?
I do think, Piers, I have to say, I think the reason that there are so many folks who are talking about the possibility of government tyranny is threefold, really. It's the Obama administration's increasing reliance on big government, and that I think threatens some people. I think that it is folks like Alex Jones who do this routine where every time they shut down a city like Boston because of a terrorist attack, it's the end of the world and military laws at hand. And honestly, I think part of it is due to folks like you, Piers, because, you know, you go out of your way to really give the impression that you're interested in taking away people's fundamental right to bear arms, and I think that scares a lot of folks.
Well, no, I'm not. We've discussed this. I'm not remotely against people having the right to bear arms. I'm seriously against the right to have military-style assault weapons to blow kids' brains to pieces in schools.
I still don't understand your position on this, because you've said you're against assault weapons, but you are okay with handguns. Handguns kill 6,000 people a year. Assault weapons kill 300.
Well, they're both a big problem.
So
handguns
why don't we
in
just go
Chicago
for the,
and assault weapons with mass shootings.
You're from the UK. Why don't we just go with a full gun ban?
Well, listen, we've discussed this. The UK has 40, 50 gun murders a year.
Right. So why don't
America has 12,000. Why don't we try our way? Let's move on to this. Jason,
I'm glad you finally let your agenda out there.
Do you realize the epicness of this exposing of Piers Morgan? Because in the United States, the Democrats always pretend, oh no, it's just this, little this little ban here, this little ban there. We're not taking away guns completely. And was Piers Morgan saying, well, maybe we should do it our way in the UK with pretty much a complete guns ban. That's something Democrats in the United States never, ever, ever want to say. And they attack Republicans always for claiming that the Democrats are actually trying to completely taking guns away. But here, Ben Shapiro proved it. So this was just an epic beatdown. And then here's another one on the Constitution. There's 3 of them here,
I'd
so
really like to hear your
we'll play them all. Like, just imagine, look, the speed at what Ben Shapiro talks and thinks, and how many facts he drops, and how knowledgeable he is. It's just unbelievable. Cenk has no chance.
Policy prescriptions for what we should do about guns.
And keep in mind, these are on hostile TV stations. Like, he goes on CNN and stuff, and the anchors just can't control him because it's hard to cut him off with the speed at what she talks. So Cenk really has no chance here. But let's listen to this on the Constitution.
Because you say that you respect the Second Amendment, and I brought this here for you so that you can read it. It's the Constitution.
Boom.
Come in, you brandish your little book as if I don't know
My
what's
little
in
book,
there.
that's the Constitution of the United States.
So Piers Morgan is way out of his element now, calling the Constitution the little book. Like, it just looks terrible. And look how upset Piers Morgan got.
This is Ben Shapiro Thug Life.
The Democrats don't get to run the chamber just because they're sitting there on their fat cans, unable to get up. I'm sorry, but this is not how the process works. It's hilarious to me that when Barack Obama controlled both chambers of Congress, he didn't bring any of these gun control bills forward. Now that they're in the minority, they want to run on these issues, so they're going to sit there and they're going to pretend that they're doing something noble by not getting up. I mean, my working theory is that they actually can't get up. I mean, they're all over the age of 80, apparently.
So that's the Ben Shapiro that Cenk's gonna try to debate. He's got no fucking chance.
Okay.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
What the fuck was that? I don't even know what she was trying to do.
All right.
Right wingers have been asking for quite some time. Come and see.
All right. And
Don't worry. You two come and see. Oh my, Cenk. This was the biggest mistake you've ever made. Ever.
I will be debating Ann Coulter.
Damn.
Ann versus Anna. Ann.
Wait. Now, I don't even particularly love Ann Coulter. I think she says a lot of ridiculous things, but at least she knows her stuff, and I may not agree with her opinions, but she knows her stuff. Anna, on the other hand, does not know politics well. She's pretty new to it. She was hired to be a pretty face on the Young Turks, and her opinions are idiotic, and she doesn't stand a chance against Ann Coulter either. Although maybe she can somehow scrape by if she can make Ann Coulter look like a bully or something. I don't know. But I don't see a chance on the substance of what they're going to say. Neither Cenk or Anna stands any chance.
Anna versus Ann. It's going to be fun.
In fairness, though, there aren't many people that Anna Kasparian would stand a chance against.
Can't wait. And Hasan will also be there, and he is also debating
Wait, why the fuck is a Hasan Piker going to be there debating someone? He's a fucking idiot.
someone who is a millennial who is very much against millennials. Like, that's his whole shtick. So that should be a lot of fun as well.
That ought to be great. Woke bitch.
All right, so who is he debating? Well, I looked it up. Turns out it's Charlie Kirk. Okay, so who is Charlie Kirk? I don't think Hasan Piker stands a chance against Charlie Kirk either. But then again, Hasan Piker is pretty much an idiot. So, let's have a listen.
Hello, welcome back to a 10-part series.
By the way, this is kind of like formal and boring, but it's not always like this, where a lot of times he'll go out into the field or whatever and he'll debate socialists and that kind of stuff. But I wanted to show the knowledge that he has, and I think this shows the knowledge of substance that he has. And just imagine Hasan Piker trying to debate this.
On the 10 common economic myths. Today we'll be talking about myth number 4, which is from the economist Paul Krugman of the New York Times, who said that when we borrow money, it is free. But you must ask yourself, is anything ever free? In economics class, that's one of the first things that you learn, that nothing is free, and that's called opportunity cost. But when politicians say, I support free health care, or free auto care, or free child care, or free this and free that, we as voters should cut them off immediately, because nothing in life is free. When the federal government spends money, it must either be taxed, printed, or borrowed. Those are the only 3 ways the government can get money. If you tax the citizenry, you will stifle business. If you borrow, you're going to have to pay it back plus interest, and if you print, you have to worry about inflation. All 3 of those have costs involved, therefore they're not free. I think this is very important when we look at our politicians and economists that claim things are free. And I encourage you to never use the word free with another noun behind it. Please check out the 10 common economic myths.
Okay, so that was very, simplistic and obvious, but it just shows, the foundation that he's working off of, and he knows the principles, the basic principles, and I think he knows actually a lot more about economics as well, but this is stuff Hasan Piker doesn't know. Let's look at what Hasan Piker, let's look at his videos that he does for the Young Turks. It's not like I'm picking out like the worst video or anything. This is something the Young Turks actually published. So I just picked one of the first ones I found.
One of the most indecent things I've seen in the media, and there's a lot of it, is the resurgence of the fake news story involving the murder of 27-year-old DNC staffer Seth Rich. So today, we're going to be talking about an asshole who won't let that story go away.
By the way, I haven't even watched this entire thing, but I figured when I heard that he was talking about Seth Rich and how there's nothing there and Sean Hannity is basically pushing a conspiracy theory, it was going to be good enough.
Victims' families' dismay. Sean Hannity and how he personally pushed a fake news story surrounding Rich's murder on national television last week.
Now, following Rich's death, there was suspicion that he may have been the source of the DNC emails that were leaked to WikiLeaks. Now, not the Russians, as the left claims.
But first, let's talk about what happened.
Seth Rich.
But that's actually true. Like, you're citing that as if it's some ridiculous conspiracy theory that Sean Hannity is coming out with. But what he said is actually true. Seth Rich was actually the leaker. There's a reason WikiLeaks has put up the money for information as a reward that leads to this crime being solved.
Was shot and killed near his Washington, D.C. group house last July while working on a voter turnout project for the Democratic National Committee. 12 days later, WikiLeaks published embarrassing DNC emails. And 2 weeks after that, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange offered a reward for information about Rich's death.
And look, Julian Assange is also kind
of... Oh, well, that's what NBC, way to quote NBC News, because they're going to be trusted. I'll trust Sean Hannity over them. But if you just look at the facts, there are so many discrepancies with Seth Rich, and not even getting deep into the conspiracy, it's basically admitted that he was the leaker.
Kind of a dick here, but here are some facts.
Washington, D.C. police say they found absolutely no evidence.
Notice he doesn't actually give anything arguments himself, and this is how you know, a lot of his videos are. It's like, boom, here's a claim, here's what someone else says, I believe the other person, so there you have it. Like, he's gonna trust NBC News now, and he doesn't really. What's his argument here? Why should we trust NBC News over Sean Hannity?
Having looked at Rich's computers, that he was ever in touch with WikiLeaks. His death, they say, appears to be the result of a botched robbery.
So the case is basically closed as of September last year, until now. Why? Because Sean Hannity decided to bring this conspiracy theory up after it seemingly went away for good. But why?
Well, he used the term conspiracy theory. It was not a closed case, you fucking idiot. They claimed it was a failed robbery, but they still to this day have no idea who the attempted thief was, apparently. And we all, well, there's significant reason to believe that the whole robbery narrative is complete bullshit. And I'm not going to get into all the evidence, but I mean, a lot of you guys know it, but I mean, he can't even take the very basics of the story and accurately represent it. Like, he's acting like the Seth Rich story was over with. Like, the police solved the case. That's not true at all.
Why would he do that?
That could completely shatter the narrative that, in fact, WikiLeaks was working with the Russians, or there was collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians.
According to Hannity, it was a search for the truth. Or maybe it was a desperate attempt to distract attention away from all of the evidence emerging every goddamn day on the Russia-Trump connection.
Given what we know now after hearings in the Congress and all of the shit that's been going on with Russia, and we've been through like 4 or 5 different narratives of they're not even attempting to prove collusion anymore. That Trump Russia is a nothing burger. How is this? This stuff is gold. I wish I knew this was all in here. But I didn't want to cherry pick a video, so. But this is hilarious stuff. Hilarious. This has not aged well for him at all.
Lengths that Sean Hannity will go to suck Donald Trump's toes is alarming and sad. Once there was backlash from the family and
how alarming that, Sean Hannity actually gives the facts and tells the truth and goes down angles that maybe you're uncomfortable with.
And desist order was issued, Hannity tried to hide his disgusting attempts at partisan cuckery in the face of overwhelming facts.
My heart and soul goes out to this Rich family, and I'm sorry, but I also know I would probably myself never recover as a father, and I also know that I want the truth as a father.
Oh, your heart and soul goes out to the Rich family, Sean. Is that why you shamelessly used their son's death to advance your unethical political agenda? And
wait, okay, just think about what he's really saying. You can use this argument on anybody that is talking politics. Like, yes, when people die, especially when a DNC staffer, well, we call him staffer, he was like a high-level IT guy. When he's killed, it's a political story, and it affects the entire country. And when people are using his death to advance the Russia narrative, especially against Donald Trump, it's perfectly fine and reasonable for Hannity to bring up Seth Rich and talk about the facts of the story. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not trying to, use Seth Rich as, to score some political points or something in a ridiculous way. He's trying to get to the facts of a serious major story. So this is just ridiculous. And he did all he could to say, he feels for the family. What else can you do? You're just trying to censor him. You're trying to say, Seth Rich died tragically, so his family's grieving, so now nobody can talk about this story. That'd be convenient for you, wouldn't it? Although you don't have a problem when the left talks about it, because you didn't complain about NBC News talking about it.
Forced to stop after they came out and asked publicly for you and everyone else to stop. And to make the story even
is that why you're talking about Seth Rich right now?
better, after being exposed for going full Glenn Beck on national television, never go full Glenn Beck, Sean started tweeting out further insanities like a madman in a tinfoil hat. He even went to the deep end, blaming shadow leftist billionaire George Soros, who, according to conservative conspiracy...
Shadow leftist? What, does he not exist? I mean, for the love of God, he's got a group that, this organization that funds all these different things, and we can see that they fund when nonprofit organizations release their financial information, and it says like the George Soros group or whatever it's called. It's pretty clear connection that the funding's coming from George Soros.
Conspiracy theorists on the internet single-handedly finances every progressive blog/news source that they disagree with, including ours.
And the Soros flying monkeys who have the bots out spewing hate, spewing dissension, spewing revolution against the American government and the U.S. Constitution.
Seriously, though, George, if you're...
He's making fun of that, but just think about it. If you want to look into it, you can. There is evidence that George Soros does fund the Young Turks. And just think about how independent the Young Turks used to be when they first started. And now think about how they're pushing the exact same narratives as the mainstream media. There's very little difference between the Young Turks and, during the general election, they had the exact same arguments of Hillary Clinton and her campaign. They used the same wording. It's disgusting. And they were, they allegedly supported Bernie Sanders. Until they didn't and abandoned Bernie Sanders and went to Hillary Clinton during the general election and just became complete shills.
If you're out there, I'm totally open to funds. I mean, DM me, let's discuss it. Now, the irony here is that there are real shadowy wealthy figures involved in the story, except it's not George Soros. It's the
Oh, yeah, it's anybody but George Soros, right? The most obvious person that's involved isn't involved. Okay.
Family and Ed Butowski. Ed Butowski, who personally financed the private investigator who looked into the Seth Rich murder. Ed Butowski, who is a friend of both Bob Mercer, computer scientist and owner of one of the most successful hedge funds, and Steve Bannon, racist founder of Breitbart and Human Skin Tag. And Fox News did eventually issue a statement and retracted their original article after the advertisers pulled a Bill O'Reilly and started backing out from Hannity's show. And now...
So they tried to save advertising money by... I didn't even see what the retraction was, but by allegedly offering a retraction. What was it? Yeah, they're just taking the article down. They're not claiming any sort of false information or anything. They're just saying it didn't meet editorial standards, but they're not being specific on what didn't meet editorial standards. Normally when there's a retraction, it's like this specific information was wrong, but nothing was wrong here.
After the advertisers pulled a Bill O'Reilly and started backing out from Hannity's show. And now Hannity's going on an...
And I think this is when Media Matters for America was attacking Fox News.
Impromptu trip. Sound familiar? It's almost identical to what happened to Bill O'Reilly a couple months ago, but I'm not even going to talk about how irresponsible Fox News is and how little regard they...
Yeah, almost identical, right? Like, because Media Matters for America was also attacking Bill O'Reilly. Jeez, no wonder. It's the same strategy. No wonder why it's nearly identical in results and process.
They have for accountability and ethical journalism and only react once advertisers threaten their bottom line. Because the implications of this story are terrifying. Right-wing media was established with the express purpose of moving the national discourse to the right and amplifying conservative messaging. And unfortunately...
So just think about this. Think about what he's arguing. He's arguing that it took corporations with advertising money to get Fox News to do the right and truthful thing. How fucking opposite is that of what the Young Turks used to be about? They used to be, until they turned completely corporate, they used to be about, how corporations are, causing a lot of problems, and they have lobbyists in government that force politicians to do bad things, and they force a bad narrative in the mainstream media, and the mainstream media just, they just act as shills for these corporations. And they used to be, largely correct on that. And now they're just now they're trying to make the complete opposite argument that if you have to retract due to losing advertising money, that's actually evidence that you were wrong on something.
They succeeded by ruining U.S. politics for good. But the promotion of this farce is uniquely terrifying for two reasons. Fox News is devoid of any moral boundary that would prevent them from willingly disseminating misinformation. While this isn't exactly new because, they pushed that.
It's almost over anyway, but I'm going to just end it here. So, you're going to have Hasan Piker debating Charlie Kirk, Anna Kasparian debating Ann Coulter, and Cenk Uygur debating Ben fucking Thug Life Shapiro, July 29th and 30th. This is the end of the fucking Young Turks. How are they ever going to save face and recover from this? I mean, I guess they'll still have their hate watchers, and they'll have even more hate watchers maybe. And I guess, so a lot of people on the far left are so far gone that maybe they'll just stick their head in the sand, but there is absolutely no way that they're going to get anywhere on the substance. And this is July 29th to the 30th, so keep an eye open. Have a good one, guys.